Hello, world. I'm Jack, and welcome to English Speaking Studio.
I'm Lucy. So what are you waiting for? Let's dive in and make learning English an unforgettable journey.
You ever get that feeling, like when you're about to speak up at a meeting, or like when you hesitate to try something new and you think, ugh, what will people think?
It's so common, right?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Today, we are taking a deep dive into this whole fear of judgment thing.
Ooh, I like that fear of judgment thing.
We're using these insights from a podcast script
Okay.
that's all about English language learners.
Mm.
But honestly, it's super relevant to, like, all of us.
Really?
Yeah. No matter how fluent we are in any language.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So what's the angle here? What makes this script so special?
Well, it goes way deeper than just, language skills.
Okay.
It gets into, like, the core reasons why we as humans crave validation
Mm-hmm.
and how that ties into this whole fear of judgment we all experience.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Right. It's
Yeah.
like we know most people aren't really, like, fixated on our every move.
Right.
But then our emotions tell us a totally different story.
Oh, absolutely. And to really understand this, I think we need to go way back to our evolutionary roots.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
So imagine our ancestors, like living in tribes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where acceptance by the group meant safety and survival,
Okay.
and rejection.
Well,
That could be straight up dangerous.
so you're saying that even though we're not living in tribes anymore,
Yeah.
our brains still react. Like a disapproving glance could get us banished from the group.
Exactly. It's like our brains haven't quite caught up to like modern society.
Wow.
That ancient wiring is still there, triggering that primal fear response, even when we're just facing like everyday social situations.
That makes a lot of sense.
And then on top of that, we live in a world dominated by social media.
Oh, don't even get me started.
This script actually talks about how the constant exposure to everyone else's seemingly perfect lives and super vocal opinions, it just amplifies those feelings of inadequacy.
Oh, it's so true. It's like we're constantly being watched, judged, compared.
Exactly.
No wonder people feel pressure to present this, like,
Yeah.
perfect version of themselves online.
It's exhausting.
So what about the impact on our self-esteem in the real world, though? Like, beyond the screen?
Well, when you already have that underlying fear of judgment, right? Social media just throws fuel on the fire.
Makes sense.
The script really emphasizes the connection between low self-esteem and a heightened sensitivity to judgment.
Mm-hmm.
So when we lack confidence in ourselves, we tend to seek validation externally,
Okay.
making disapproval feel like a personal attack.
Oof, that's gonna hurt.
It does.
Like a vicious cycle. The less we believe in ourselves,
Yes.
the more we crave approval from others,
Mm,
and then the more devastated we feel when we don't get it.
exactly.
It makes you wonder, how much of this fear is rooted in actual experiences versus our own perceptions,
That's a great question.
right?
Yeah. And past experiences definitely play a role, you know?
I could see that.
Like, think back to a time when you were criticized or judged,
Ugh.
maybe in school or at work.
Oh, yeah, I've got a few of those memories.
Right. Those negative experiences, they can create lasting imprints on our brains.
Really?
Yeah. Shaping our beliefs and behaviors in ways we might not even realize.
It's like our brains develop these defense mechanisms
Right.
to, like, avoid feeling that pain again,
Exactly.
which often translates into, holding back, playing it safe,
Yeah,
constantly second-guessing ourselves.
precisely. And this is where things get really interesting.
Okay, tell me more.
The script points out that a lot of this fear is fueled by what psychologists call the spotlight effect.
The spotlight effect. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm not familiar.
Yeah. Have you ever walked into a room and felt like everyone's staring at you?
Oh my gosh. All the time.
Right.
Especially if I'm feeling a bit self-conscious about something,
Yeah.
like a new outfit or a presentation I have to give.
Yeah.
It feels like all eyes are on me, analyzing my every flaw.
And that's the spotlight effect in action.
Oh, wow.
We tend to grossly overestimate how much attention others are actually paying to us.
Really?
Yeah, it's this powerful cognitive bias
Interesting.
that tricks us into thinking we're the center of everyone's universe, when in reality, most people are preoccupied with their own thoughts and concerns.
So they're probably not even noticing the things I'm, like, super worried about.
Exactly, they probably aren't.
Wow.
There's an anecdote in the script that illustrates this perfectly.
Oh, I love a good anecdote.
Yeah, so someone spilled coffee all over themselves at a party,
Oh, no.
right? And they spent the rest of the night mortified,
Oh, Yvette.
convinced everyone saw and judged them.
Yeah.
But later, they realized, hardly anyone even noticed
Really?
because they were too busy with their own conversations
Mhm.
and, well, their own fears of being judged.
Wow, that's so true.
It's ironic, isn't it? We're so worried about being judged,
Yeah.
but most people around us are likely dealing with the same insecurities.
It's like we're all in this together.
Exactly.
Right.
So how do we break free from this illusion of the spotlight and start living more authentically?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
Thankfully, this script offers some really interesting insights into how we can actually overcome this fear.
Oh.
And it's not about, like, becoming completely immune to judgment.
Right.
It's more about changing our relationship with it.
I like that.
And we're going to dive into those strategies right after this.
Yeah.
Just kidding. We're going to keep going.
Okay, I'm ready.
I'm too excited to wait.
Let's do it. I love your enthusiasm.
Thanks.
So now that we understand the roots of this fear
Mm.
and the tricks our minds are playing on us, let's explore some practical tools and strategies
Okay.
for taking back our power. And this script provides some actionable advice
Oh.
that I think you'll find incredibly helpful.
I'm all ears.
Okay, good.
All right. So we've uncovered, like, the why behind this fear of judgment thing.
Yeah.
Our ancient wiring, the social media frenzy, those, like, past experiences that just linger.
They really do.
But now for the good stuff.
Yeah, let's get to it.
How do we actually loosen the grip of this fear and start living more authentically? I am so ready to ditch this whole spotlight effect thing
Me too.
and step into my own light.
Yes. Love it. And this script lays out some really practical strategies for doing just that.
Awesome.
And what I appreciate is how it connects these strategies back to the listener's experience,
Oh, yeah.
making it feel relatable and applicable to everyday life.
Okay. So let's get tactical.
Okay.
What's the first step in rewiring our brains
Yeah.
to be less judgment sensitive?
So the first strategy is all about reframing our thinking.
Okay.
So when that wave of self-consciousness hits, you know that everyone's judging me feeling, hit the pause button
Okay.
and ask yourself two things.
Alrighty.
First, does this judgment really matter in the grand scheme of things?
Okay.
And second, will I even remember this a year from now?
Wow. That's simple but powerful.
Right?
Honestly.
Oh.
Most of the time, the answer to both of those questions is probably a big no.
Yeah.
It's like taking a step back
Mm.
and realizing that this one moment, this one opinion doesn't actually define us or our worth.
Exactly. Putting things into perspective can really help diminish the fear's power, you
Mhm.
know? It's like zooming out and seeing the bigger picture,
Mm-hmm.
where this one judgment becomes a tiny speck in the vast landscape of our lives.
I can already feel my shoulders relaxing a bit just thinking about that.
That's good. That's what we want.
What's another strategy we can use to break free from this fear?
So the next one focuses on acceptance. Accepting that you simply can't please everyone.
Oh, I know.
Right.
I hate that.
No matter how hard you try, some people just won't like you or agree with your choices.
So true.
And that's perfectly okay.
You know, this is something I've really struggled with, like that need to be liked by everyone.
Yeah, it's a common one.
It's an impossible standard to live up to.
It really is.
It's exhausting and ultimately sets us up for disappointment.
You're absolutely right. So instead of chasing universal approval,
Yeah.
this script suggests focusing on living in alignment with your own values.
Okay.
It encourages you to ask yourself, what truly matters to me? What kind of person do I want to be in the world?
I love that. It's about like defining our own compass.
Yes.
Our own North Star.
Exactly.
And navigating by that instead of constantly looking over our shoulder to see if everyone else approves of our course.
Love that analogy.
This is about living authentically, even if it means ruffling a few feathers along the way.
Right. It's empowering.
Okay. So we've reframed our thinking. We've embraced the fact that we can't please everyone. What comes next?
Next up is building self-confidence, something we touched on earlier.
Yeah.
The more we believe in ourselves and our own worth, the less we'll seek validation from outside sources.
Makes sense.
And here's a key insight from the script. Confidence isn't about being perfect.
Oh, thank goodness.
Right. It's about self-acceptance. Flaws and all.
So instead of striving for some unattainable ideal of perfection, which is honestly just a recipe for self-criticism and anxiety, we should focus on embracing our imperfection.
Yes.
Those quirks that make us who we are.
Exactly. Trying to be perfect is exhausting and ultimately a futile pursuit. Instead, the script encourages us to focus on celebrating our strengths, acknowledging our weaknesses, and being kind to ourselves through the process.
This idea of self-acceptance and self-compassion feels really important.
It is.
Like a key ingredient in building that inner resilience we need to face judgment without crumbling. It's almost like prioritizing our own opinion above all others.
You've hit the nail on the head. The next strategy the script outlines is about shifting our focus inward
Okay,
and making our own self-approval the most important validation.
I like that.
So it suggests asking ourselves, am I happy with who I am? Am I living in alignment with my values? That's the true measure of success, not what others happen to think.
So it's not about becoming completely immune to judgment, because let's face it, we're all human.
We are.
It's more about changing the source of our validation.
Exactly.
It's about finding that sense of self-worth from within rather than constantly seeking it from external sources.
You got it.
Okay, what's the final piece of the puzzle? The last strategy for breaking free from this fear.
This one is all about taking action.
Okay.
The script emphasizes the importance of small steps.
Small steps?
Yeah, it's not about suddenly becoming fearless overnight.
Right.
It's about gradually expanding your comfort zone, pushing those boundaries bit by bit.
So instead of trying to conquer this fear all at once,
Yeah.
which can feel overwhelming, we can approach it like a muscle. We're slowly strengthening.
I love that analogy.
What would a small step look like in practice?
It could be speaking up in a meeting when you normally stay silent, wearing that bold outfit you've been hesitant to try, expressing an unpopular opinion,
Yeah.
or pursuing a creative project you've been putting off.
Okay.
Each step, no matter how small, builds resilience and chips away at that fear.
I like this idea of chipping away at the fear.
Yeah,
It feels much more manageable than trying to smash it all at once.
right.
It's like saying to ourselves, okay, I can handle this much today, tomorrow. Maybe I'll push a little further.
Exactly. And as you take these steps, you'll start to realize that the world doesn't end when you put yourself out there.
That's reassuring.
In fact, amazing things can happen when we dare to break free from that fear of judgment.
Speaking of amazing things, the script highlights some really inspiring examples of individuals who faced immense judgment but didn't let it stop them.
Oh yeah, they're great.
Their stories are a reminder that success isn't about being fearless. It's about not letting fear dictate our choices. It's about choosing courage over comfort.
Absolutely. They talk about Lady Gaga, who was mocked for her unique style early on, but went on to become a global icon, constantly pushing boundaries and challenging norms.
Love her.
And then there's Elon Musk, who has faced endless criticism, but continues to innovate and pursue his ambitious vision.
He's a fascinating figure, for sure.
And we can't forget Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson,
Oh, yeah, he's awesome.
who defied those who said he wouldn't make it in wrestling, then transitioned to acting and became one of the highest paid actors in the world.
He's such an inspiration.
Yeah, it's like, if they can overcome those obstacles and achieve such incredible things, maybe we can too.
Totally. It shifts the focus from, what if people judge me?
To what if I actually achieve my dreams?
That shift in perspective is incredibly powerful.
It is.
It's about recognizing that the fear of judgment is normal, but it doesn't have to define us or limit our potential. We have the power to choose courage over comfort, to pursue our passions, and to create a life that feels authentic and fulfilling.
So as we move towards the final part of our deep dive, what are the key takeaways we can all apply to our own lives? What's the essence of what we've explored so far?
Firstly, we've learned that while this fear of judgment is deeply rooted in our biology and amplified by societal pressures, it's not an insurmountable obstacle.
Okay.
By understanding its origins, recognizing our tendency to overestimate how much people are scrutinizing us,
Yeah.
and practicing self-compassion, we can start to loosen its grip.
And then there are the practical strategies.
Yeah.
Reframing our thinking, accepting that we can't please everyone, building self-confidence, making our own self-approval the most important validation, and taking those small but courageous steps outside our comfort zones.
We've seen through inspiring examples that it's not about being fearless, but about not letting fear be the driver of our choices and actions.
We'll be right back to explore the final insights from this script and leave you with some questions to ponder as you continue your own journey of overcoming the fear of judgment. Stay tuned. We're back and ready to wrap up our deep dive into this whole fear of judgment thing. We've explored its evolutionary roots,
Yeah,
debunked the myth of the spotlight effect,
right.
and even armed ourselves with some practical strategies for taking back our power.
I feel more powerful already.
Me too. You know, what's really stood out for me throughout this deep dive is how much we tend to overestimate how much other people are actually thinking about us.
Oh, totally. It's like we create these elaborate narratives in our heads,
Yeah.
imagining ourselves under constant scrutiny,
Yeah.
when in reality, most people are far too busy with their own lives and insecurities to be giving us that much attention.
It's like we're walking around these imaginary judges in our minds, constantly evaluating our every move.
Yeah,
When in reality, those judges are mostly figments of our imagination.
exactly. And even if someone does happen to judge us,
Right.
their opinion doesn't define our worth.
It really doesn't.
We have the power to choose what matters to us, what values we want to live by, and how we want to show up in the world. Their judgment is simply their perspective,
Right.
not a reflection of our inherent value.
So it's not about seeking everyone's approval or becoming completely impervious to criticism.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that judgment is a natural part of the human experience and learning to navigate it in a way that empowers us
Right.
rather than diminishes us.
So well said.
The script ends with this powerful question
Oh, yeah,
that I think perfectly encapsulates this idea.
it does.
It asks, what would you do if you weren't afraid of judgment?
Ooh, chills.
Right.
So good.
It challenges us to imagine a life where we're not limited by the opinions of others, where we feel free to express ourselves authentically,
Yeah.
pursue our passions,
Yeah.
and make the kind of impact we truly desire.
It's about stepping out of that self-imposed spotlight and into our own light. It's about reclaiming our power and creating a life that feels aligned with our truest selves.
And that, my friend, is a journey worth taking,
Oh, it is.
even if it means facing some discomfort and uncertainty along the way.
Absolutely. So, dear listener,
Yeah.
as we conclude this deep dive,
Mm-hmm.
we encourage you to sit with that question.
Yeah.
What would you do if you weren't afraid of judgment? Let it spark your imagination. Let it fuel your courage. And let it guide you towards a life that feels truly yours.
Remember, the world needs your unique voice, your talents, your perspective. Don't let the fear of judgment hold you back from sharing them with the world. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
Yes, thank you.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep shining brightly.